most welcome. It promises to be a pleasant event. Thank you very much. Some music, please.
Bagamba, you're the groom. Bagamba, you're my everything. When kunyumia kesa kesa. Babali bamanyi pebiti wanfamu. Gwe wabaswaza kati bayita manju. I never wanna lose a real one like you. Uno mukwano masafu kumasafu. Abali bamanyi luliti twakwamu. Twabaswaza bayita manju. I never wanna lose a real one like you. Uno mukwano masafu masafu atenga kocha. I'm the only woman worthy to carry your babies. Hold on to me tight as I ride you like a Mercedes. Friendly, speedy, chukumi, bibidi, too fast, I can't slow down. Whoa, I'm enjoying this. Uno mukwano masafu masafu atenga kocha. Tusigale wetuti, baby tutusapini. You are connected to me. Masafu atenga kocha. Tusigale wetuti, baby tutusapini. You are connected to me. The sun, Bagamba, you're the groom. Bagamba, you're my everything. When kunyumia kesa kesa. Abali bamanyi luliti wanfamu. Twabaswaza bayita manju. I never wanna lose a real one like you. Uno mukwano masafu masafu atenga kocha. Tusigale wetuti, baby tutusapini. You are connected to me. Masafu atenga kocha. Tusigale wetuti, baby tutusapini. You are connected to me. Jacob Bits.
Whoa, whoa. Hey, yeah. Piti wakasajja lwazi nebojja munda zengonderera ng'eryenvu ali ku nkyaya gundi aliba wattimaira siri musonyi oyo okuba weewalungi wotya ensi yange endala wewagikwakulako oluyi nze ndi muntu wa mirembe nnyo naye ekizannyo embeera kwe kukubulwa nti nakuggyirako akakofiira bwe nkulowooza ogamba siikese kusaba ojjukirenga nnyo luli olunaku lwaffe lwe twasisinkana gwe nakuggyirako eno seppeewo bwe nkulowooza ogamba siikese kusaba ojjukirenga nnyo luli olunaku lwaffe lwe twasisinkana. Jumuiya Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Indeed, as we stand here for God and my country, memories go back to the 18 occasions we've been together. Those who would have loved to be with us, who not by their design, but by providence are not with us. Those who aspire, and those who have worked very hard to bring us here together. And it is the conviction and that belief that we will stand firm this evening on those strengths and the blessings as given, trusting in the grace and kindness of He who gives us all. We aspire to be homely, we aspire to be good to each other, but also recognize the achievements and the efforts of those who will be recognized. Shall we remain together, therefore, in that grace as provided by the Almighty? For we trust and believe that He gives us when we ask. And we all say, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Take your seats. You can clap. I do appreciate it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Solomon Rubondo, your host for the last 18 events of the Employer of the Year Awards. And I hasten to say, in preparation for my succession, I was given a co-MC, also to eliminate the monotony of that voice you've heard on 18 occasions. May I invite my co-host to come and say hello as we progress this evening. They won't clap for you, of course. It depends on how you will walk, and they will decide. Mildred Tuhaise, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Solomon. You see, I'm more down to earth than you. That is why I had to reduce the microphone. I respect gravity more than yourself. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know the reason why the greeting is a little bit low, but dinner is ready. So don't worry. In just a bit, dinner will be served. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, once again. It's a pleasure to have you all here. Thank you so much for honoring our invite. And I know the night is going to be either long or short, depending on how you look at it, but we promise that it's going to be as engaging as possible. And to all the winners tonight, we are all winners for that reason that we are here. And I want to wish you a very beautiful evening. I hope that you do enjoy it. I am Mildred Tuhaise, as Solomon did say, and I will be glad to host the night with him. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mildred. Next time, be kind to return my microphone where it belongs, down to earth as you are. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. We do promise to keep you entertained. We are well aware that you've had a long week. We don't want to keep you for too long, but we'll do the business of the day. And our protocol does recognize our partners. Our protocol this evening recognizes our promoters, our international friends, our international partners. Our protocol recognizes the executive and the leadership of the Federation of Uganda Employers. We will, as we get along, mention you specifically, the respective corporate organizations. Our protocol recognizes the press. Our protocol recognizes everybody, ladies and gentlemen, this evening. So, in case of doubt, feel free to say all protocol observed, because we do welcome you. You can receive your protocol with a round of applause. May I now welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of Uganda Employers to come and welcome us this evening, and then we'll come back to announce the next event. Thank you very much indeed. Please feel at home. Please feel free. Please enjoy the evening. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much. I was thinking I'm a little taller, but I also have to adjust. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The MC already warned me in advance regarding energy levels, so I completely understand. It's such a pleasure, such an honor to be hosting all of you this evening. We have been doing a lot of hard work, but with you now here, yeah, it's real now. So I'm really delighted to be having you here. We have a guest, the chief guest in the house already, the deputy head of mission and head of cooperation at the Belgian embassy, who of course has made this ceremony even better. Your presence, sir, is extremely good for us and for this event. Thank you for honoring our invitation. I've not tried to pronounce the name because I don't want to risk murdering the name. So I decided to skip the name a bit, but later on I will have a practice session to learn how to pronounce your name correctly. This evening, we gather not only to celebrate remarkable achievements of our fellow employers, but also to acknowledge the ever-changing world of work, especially post-COVID. This particular ceremony, we are organizing it under the theme Employers' Competitiveness in the Post-COVID-19 era. So today we get together to celebrate a lot of employers who have taken advantage of COVID-19 and then done something better with it, made the world of work a lot better. But before I get into a bit more detail, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to our sponsors. One of our partners, key partners for today is Enable. Enable is supporting us to run Employer of the Year Award starting this year, but in the regions where we haven't been strong. And these are regions like the Albertine and the Rwenzori regions. They're doing a lot of remarkable work there, I should say, with the employers as well, including setting up facilities. One of my members is a beneficiary of your support with our hotel facilities. So we are grateful for that support, and we are grateful that you're not only supporting our members, you're also coming to help the Secretariat be a lot better and to deliver the way the employers want. We appreciate your commitment to the decent work agenda in this country. So we are grateful to be having Enable with us here today. Thank you. Thank you so much. And of course, it goes without saying Enable doesn't work on its own. It means the embassy is supportive. So with that, a special appreciation to the Belgian embassy as well. Join me also in applauding the work being done by the International Labour Organization, represented here by my sister Mwenya. You're very welcome. And ILO has been supporting this process for a long time. We also have with us an initiative from the International Rescue Committee. We have with us the people who set up an initiative which is called Rebuild. Rebuild is trying to create new journeys and better things, especially for refugees, not only those in settlements, but also those in the urban areas. And a lot of the materials that we are using here is thanks to the Rebuild initiative. So we are very grateful to the Rebuild initiative by IRC. Kindly join me in appreciating what they have done. But we also have the Danish Family Planning Association. You know, as we talk more and more about inclusion, about gender equality, about all these things that matter to us, one of the things that we shouldn't forget is the issue of sexual and reproductive health and rights. Because if that is taken care of, then you can guarantee that the working women have a safer and a better place to engage. So for that, we are very grateful to the Danish Family Planning Association. Please join me in appreciating them. And then, of course, we also have the privilege to be supported by NUDIPO. NUDIPO is the National Union of Persons with Disabilities. For those of you who are not aware, we have an initiative called UBDN. UBDN is the Uganda Business and Disability Network. So through this network, you as an employer can commit to promoting disability inclusion within your workplace. And for today, we actually have a special awards category focusing on an employer who is doing well as far as employment of persons with disability is concerned. So we thank NUDIPO so much for this partnership. And then, of course, it goes without saying, we have other partners who support us in that area as well. And Lydia is from a good organization of ours, Light for the World. So join me in thanking those two organizations, NUDIPO and Light for the World. Very important, you can be sure that as you're in this room, you're fully insured. The main corporate sponsor for this event is the Uganda Insurance Association. And with that, thank you so much. A bigger round of applause for them as well. With that also is to remind you to insure your workers. Not just the workman's compensation insurance, but also medical insurance and all other forms of insurance that you might need at your workplace. So the Uganda Insurance Association is here with us. I know the membership across the insurance industry, they're around with us here. You need anything about insurance, please reach out to us and we'll direct you to the right people. Now, on the list of our partners, the list of our corporate sponsors, we also have very close to me as well, right over there, the New Vision Group. They're the ones who made it possible that each one of you could receive a message about this activity, but could also get a bit more informed about what we are doing. So a special appreciation to the Vision Group. Join me in appreciating them. Now, all our partners, your unwavering support allows us to recognize and celebrate all these employers, all the good practices, all the things that the employers do right. You know, usually there's a bit of a hurry to show what the employer isn't doing right. But there is a lot of things that the employers do right, and with the Employer of the Year award, we get the opportunity to celebrate those excellent works that the employer are doing. That gives us an assurance that the Ugandan workforce future is actually bright, that the future is much better than what we see now, because there are employers who are pioneering in many ways as far as employment of people is concerned. Tonight, we also celebrate decent work. decent work, a core principle that upholds the right and dignity of every employee. And with that, of course, we have our partners from the trade union side, represented by NOTO here, but we also have COFTU. So this is also a night we get to celebrate decent work. It's also a night that we get to celebrate self-regulation. Employers doing things right without waiting for the government, without waiting for the ministry to push them to do the right things as well. I must say this as well, because it's always a critical question in every awards event. What does it mean for the rest of us? Fortunately, for the Employer of the Year award, every employer is a winner. We get to celebrate all the good things that you do, including those who might not take awards today. We appreciate your effort. We appreciate the great works that you do at your various workplaces. We publish your success stories as well, and we hope that other people will learn, even when you may not win an award today. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, they are not here today, but represented by technical staff. They are not here at the minister level, but they are here with us for the event. In addition, I just want to take this opportunity. Chairman, you arrived just at the right time. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Chairman. I was on the point of thanking the Governing Council for the work that you do. We are extremely grateful for the support of the Governing Council, but also the support, the good work that the staff at the Federation do. You know, when I'm speaking here and the event is looking this way, I look like a superstar, isn't it? But I'm just a showman. A lot of the work is done because we have good guidance from the Governing Council, but we also have an excellent staff. They are sitting right at the back there, the table in the corner. That's where the staff of the Federation are. They put this really together. Thank you so much for that as well. Of course, now, at the risk of being overly excited and taking too long, I will stop at this, and then to wish all of us all the very best of the evening, and to thank you once again for coming and joining us tonight. We appreciate your partnership. We appreciate your partnership. God bless you.
It is understandable when the applause is as low as it was, but dinner is just around the corner. So let's appreciate the CEO who said the event is very good, and indeed it is very good, as confirmed by all of you. The statement alluded to as regards winning is extremely paternal, and it's one of the testimonies I can give in my last 18 years of engagement, that this is the most transparent exercise. And I think Media Group, you haven't seen petitions coming to write stories about this exercise. Nor has NBS also ever had anybody running there to go and batukube, because it is very transparently done. And I'd like you to applaud yourselves on that, because it's also a standard and it speaks to competitiveness. A round of applause for you. At the risk of straying on a professional platform, I think I'll stop my remarks regarding the standards and transparency at that, and call the experts who really do it the professional way to present the survey findings, not the results, just to sharpen, whet the appetite, so that from dinner, then we'll know the right people who fit in that criteria as explained in the findings. Please join me, invite Professor Julius Chikoma of Makerere University, who led the consultancy to present the survey findings. Professor Chikoma, thank you very much indeed. A professor is supposed to dress in a special way. They dress in gowns at graduations. So when you see him without a gown, he's a professor. Please clap for him.
Thank you very much, Solomon. And I was just telling my colleagues there, when you said that you've been around for 18 editions of AIR, I said then you should qualify to be called the old man of the AIR clan. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to come and share with you a few highlights about this year's edition of AIR, which is running on the theme of competitiveness. And I will do this by just taking us through, giving us a bit of a small history of AIR, how we carried out this particular edition of AIR, a bit of breaking down of the theme under which this AIR was conducted, and also some few highlights of the results of the whole exercise. As rightly Solomon has observed, AIR has been around for now 21 years. And that is not a small achievement. 21 years is not a small achievement, as what I will say ahead will actually indicate. And it has grown over time. It has grown over time, and I think I will also add my voice to confirm that in that growth, it has also endeared many admirers around the region, because the way this particular exercise is conducted as an event for awarding companies in what they do, it is actually very unique and done very rigorously, that no other type of award can equal to what is done in AIR. And that one, I say it with confirmation, because I have also participated in other exercises. So AIR is a very homegrown solution to identifying best practices and recognizing them, and also using the exercise to actually improve our practices and how we help organizations that are coming up to improve and actually stay in the business. And it is very specifically employer focused. Unlike others that would like to focus on other areas, AIR is pitched at the level of the employer. The employer is the center of what this AIR actually focuses on. Because it is important that the employer has the right set of tools, has the right set of wisdom to handle the people that work for him or her. So it is very important that the employer, gets the best wisdom through what comes from this survey. And the other uniqueness about AIR is that it cuts across sectors. The participants cut across sectors, small, big, private, public. So it's really an exercise that is all-embracing. And as I may say, it is actually all-inclusive. And this particular edition of AIR, we focused on 3 categories of employers for whom we actually examined a number of practices in what they do as they go about their business. The first major category is where we looked at all these large established organizations and looked into all their practices and then used what we found to come up with a rank order of how they have performed so that we can be able to, thank you. Okay, there's a good Samaritan here who has decided that I should talk while being followed up in terms of the things that were written down. I had already moved, I'd talked about all that. So here is what I was talking about, that as you see the lineup there, we put all the participants into one basket and look at how they performed, and then pick out only 3 who then we present as candidates for being provided either gold, a bronze, or a silver. And that is the biggest prize that you are going to be witnessing this evening. The second category in these competitions is what we have labeled the special categories, special awards categories, and under there we have a range of issues that we actually include as we try to identify who else, in addition to just the 3 that have scooped the gold or the major awards, what else can we recognize from among those that have remained? And so we have a range of categories there, running from recognizing what we have indicated as indigenous, small, and medium enterprises. And this particular award category is very crucial for us because it is what actually predominantly characterizes the Ugandan economy. So we are very keen on trying to see how our organizations under this category actually doing, because as it were, they are moving, they are on a move. They are on a move from being small, from being seen as small, to something that is much larger and becoming much more established. But they don't have all those things that would define a well-established organization. So it's a very important category for us because it is one we track so much and one we want to see how can we use this experience to try and provide guidance, provide knowledge that can appropriately help this organization to actually grow. So those categories, I will not read all of them, but just to mention that the third focus of the awards that we shall be giving this evening, those that focus on specific sectors. And while the sectors are more than what we have here, tonight we are focusing on those particular categories of agriculture, tourism, and hospitality, as well as service, because these were considered to be very foundational in this transition from the COVID time to now a time where we are trying to find our footing once again after the ravages of COVID. So the agriculture sector, which is also a mainstay of this economy, is very important. And so we are keen through this survey to find out what are the organizations in those sectors doing and how can we identify some of the best practices to showcase. Beyond the themes, allow me take a short time to just get us appreciate the nature of the issues that we really were keen on finding out how employers are handling them. This edition decided to focus on what we call competitiveness. And competitiveness really is something that is commonplace. It's almost like a cliche. You know, everyone seems to know it. And so you would expect something like that everyone seems to know. Then it should be easy that everyone knows what to do in order to be competitive. But being a consulting team that is based at a university, we of course engaged some kind of theoretical work to just understand what has been written about this concept of being competitive. And does it mean the same everywhere? So what we discovered was that actually there have been attempts to conduct awards based on competitiveness, but most of them are focused at the national level. We actually specifically looked at some of the global practices around the question of competitiveness and how, awards are given to those participants that are surveyed under the Global Competitiveness Index. But in all that, we found that much of the focus is looking at the national level. And yet, we know that while national level issues are crucial, but it is also important to recognize that the internal dynamics within the national makeup of any nation are even more important because they are variant depending on which national borders that you go into. So we decided to just use it as a context, understanding that yes, there are those indices, but we need to come up with our own indices that will capture the kind of dynamics that organizations in this context actually struggle with as they try to deal with this question of competitiveness. And so we decided that while little is there in terms of looking at the internal dynamics, we should focus on the internal dynamics because that is where we will actually see the challenges that our organizations are struggling with. And as you can see there, we ended up looking around and identifying 3 things that we thought were important as we focus on the overall question of what do companies need to take into consideration if they are going to be able to do business in a way that puts them ahead of others that are also doing similar things. And we saw that we need to look at 3 elements. We need to look at the outcomes of all the issues that they are engaged in, whatever initiatives they come up with, whatever policies they come up with, and so on. They must be leading to something. There must be some impact. So we, in the survey, have to look out for what is the impact that all these initiatives that companies have, what kind of outcomes are they actually achieving as a result. So we came up with 3 elements that we then used to design whatever tools that we then used to study this. the good thing with this approach was that then it would allow us to look into a number of different information that we could get from any company and across sectors and across sizes. Because we could be able to get information that could come through questionnaires, but also get information that could come through our own assessment of, the documents that they have and so on. So I think enough about the theoretical issues around the question of competitiveness and what we exactly targeted about competitiveness. Let's now see how we conducted this survey. For those of you that participated, you'll be aware that my team visited you both physically but also virtually, because we wanted to ensure that we get all the information that is necessary. So we put out questionnaires for employees to respond to, and that could come through either hard copy paper hard copy, or actually through you responding to links that we shared. In addition to that, we also identified times where we could have interviews with the human resource people as well as other key people in the organization that would inform us about the general issues around how competitive this company is. So collectively, we got all that information, and we got a lot of information. And we put together that information, and we decided to ensure that all the information is looked at, but more importantly, that for a company to even be presented as a winner or a contender for an award, they had to be performing consistently high on all the different dimensions that the questionnaire assessed, and the dimensions were about 11 of them. There's not much time for me to take you through the 11 dimensions, but you'll see when I give you some of the results highlights. So the employees of the organization, both staff, regular staff, as well as managerial staff, responded, and their responses, we analyzed them. And for us to say that you have a chance to move to the next level of competition, the responses of both the employees that are regular staff and managerial staff had to actually correspond. And I can tell you here is where we started seeing companies that were actually contending from having looked at what they have in their documents in terms of policies, and also some of the things they told us in terms of the key informants, the HR people, and so on, the good stories they told us. When we started looking at the responses of the two categories of employees and managers, that's when some of the companies started dropping in performance. Because you have one side, employees not happy and responding unfavorably to the questions we asked. And then on the other hand, you have the managerial staff responding very, very favorably on the questions, on the same questions. So clearly, that puts you in a situation where you really can't go very far, because we want the situation to be the same. It is not possible that you are doing well if your regular staff are not happy, but you, the managers, are very happy with the policies you have initiated, that you have put in place. It is not. Because the employees are the ones living the realities of the policies that you have come up with. So that was the first criteria. And so for the participants here who might not make it to the awards table, start keeping that in mind, that maybe the performance did not come out as we were expecting, partly because of this first criteria. Now, the second criteria was that we who went on the ground to listen to what you tell us about these very important initiatives that you have put in place to take you out of COVID, but to also drive you into the future, while they are very attractive, they must be verifiable. So those of you who interacted with, you will know how much we pushed you on the wall to stop talking to us with these, there is these very, very common terms. We are very strategic. We are very inclusive. We don't discriminate. They use those things. On the face of it, it will look like you are reasonable. But then, as a team, that was not enough. We want to see how has that reasonableness or that inclusivity translated into actual impact on the ground, and we see outcomes that we can verify. And that is what we would use to give you a score that either would be high or low. So that is how we conducted the survey. And what was assessed, maybe just a minute on that. So these are the specifics in terms of those who responded to the questionnaire items, the questions that were on the questionnaire. They were asking, questions were asking around these areas. Of course, the first one is the broader theme on competitiveness, and specifically teasing out issues around quality, issues around company performance, around innovation, risk and compliance, customer experience, and workplace culture. So collectively, those were the key dimensions to give us an understanding of the things that a company has in place to make it competitive. Those were the infrastructures for competitiveness that we looked into. But in addition to that, there are other drivers which we also looked into, which are to do with the areas of HR, the people issues, in terms of physical and mental wellness, work-life balance, workplace health, talent management, employment of persons with different abilities, and so on. So this is what we assessed, and this is a summary of the participation in terms of the sample of the different groups of people that responded to the information, to the questionnaire that we gave. So in total, and this is also another demonstration of an advance of how AIR is actually moving ahead. For the first time, we have hit the 200 mark of company participation in AIR. Those of you who were here the last edition, you would know that at that time we were talking about 140 participation. We made a major leap of over 60 companies. And mark you, these are the ones who had complete information. But the ones that confirmed participation, but for some reason information is not complete, are not indicated there. So in fact, we reached out to more than 200 organizations, almost 300. And that is historical, because in the history of AIR, we have been hovering around less than 100. But now we've gone in 200s. I am sure that means something. So in terms of the actual number of respondents, that is 1,712 individual participants that gave us their opinions on a range of issues related to the theme, as well as the other people issues that I have just taken you through. So as a researcher from a university, a size like this is something, it's actually very, very good, because it's not easy to be able to convince 1,700 and 12 busy people to take time and respond to a questionnaire or to a set of questions that are endless. Because I know that that was the complaint when we were visiting the companies. They were saying, your questionnaire is very long. You see, why are you asking so many questions? But our answer was just simple. If we don't get enough information about ourselves, then we will know very little of how to deal with the problems that we are struggling with. So we need enough information. And so these questions were purposely selected and, of course, passed through, rigorous process to ensure that they ask the right question and so on. But more importantly, 1,700 response rate is fabulous. You don't get that easily. And people giving you their time, willingly and voluntarily. So we thank you very much for actually being able to actually record this number of participation, this volume of participation. Now this one, the master of ceremony did not tell me how much time I have, but I am sure I'm going to finish quickly, but allow me to sort of veer a bit aside, but I think it was for good reason. Now, participation like this, in terms of sample size, as a researcher at a university, this is dynamite for us. We don't have a lot of information coming from companies that are willingly giving us this. And so I've talked, I'm sure we have been in a conversation, and Douglas will know, that our involvement in this research is not going to end only in the awards. We have committed to turning the work that comes from the air work into books that will be a basis for teaching the management practices, the strategic management issues that we teach in our business schools and management schools. We think that this is the way to go, and with this kind of information, it will help our universities to stop relying on data and experiences that are not connected to the lived realities that we live in. I think this is a very important point for us who are researchers. So I thought that is important to just give that as one of the outputs that we take from this. Now, in terms of highlights, allow me to run through the last side of this presentation. In terms of highlights, I want you to just note something in terms of the color coding there. I categorically colored the issues that we are finding from the responses of the participants regarding the different practices that we surveyed. From the large, or what we are calling established organizations, we found that those 4 different people-related practices, but also they have a social connotation, were not favorably evaluated. So meaning that employees don't feel the companies are doing as well in having the right set of initiatives, the right set of strategies, the right set of policies to address those issues relating to what we studied as decent work agenda, work-life balance, sexual reproductive health, employment of people with specific abilities. Those were poorly evaluated. And when we put them in a rank order, all these practices, when we put them in a rank order, these were at the bottom. Because consistently, people were saying, this is not really happening in this organization. And specifically the red ones, keep them in mind, because the next slide, I'm going to combine. The other thing that we note from this revelation from the data is that the companies you are going to listen to when we are reading out the citations that are containing the best practices that we picked from these winning companies in these areas, we found that it is those companies which have some best practices around these problematic issues. So we are already hazarding a conclusion that there is a connection between improving these issues and also being competitive. Because if they are the winners, and at the same time they are also the ones with the best practices in the things that many organizations, employees are saying they are not handled very well, then there is something here to pick, and also for people who are in policy to actually pay much more attention. Issues of decent work, issues of employment of people with specific abilities, and the issue of, just employees being able to balance. Okay, something is not going on with my, okay. Similarly, we looked at information that is coming from the SMEs, the small, medium enterprises. Again, you will see that there are some differences in the kind of practices that were not favorably evaluated, but still, the flags on red are cutting across. Similarly, when you look at those, the third category here we have highlighted as refugee employers. While some of the issues they raise as not being done well may not map exactly like the ones in SMEs and the large organizations, there is those red issues that are cutting across. So we note that the issues relating to decent work and employment of people with disabilities are cross-cutting concerns. And so we urge practitioners here to pay attention to these issues. These are pain points among the employees. That's why they did not rate them favorably. And also, in addition to it's not just for feeling good, but they also are good for business, because we have already shown that the ones who are doing well also are being favorably evaluated on these issues. So it's supposed to be the last slide, but it's okay. So, in a nutshell, as far as the issue of competitiveness is concerned, the things on which you drive competitiveness as an organization are highlighted there, and they come across as 5 elements: quality and performance, those go together; innovation, risk and compliance, customer experience, and the culture. Those are the foundations as the data has indicated for us. And so, the practitioners, the work is already cut out. The elements you need to track and pay attention to are there. But also, just to quote some famous strategic management scholar, Porter, when he famously declared that competitiveness is a marathon. It is not a sprint. It's not like you are just going to come up with some few things today and then everything will be fine. No, it's for the long haul. So as this survey indicates, it is necessary to understand the factors behind farm competitiveness, for better economic growth, but also social welfare. As you saw, those red flagged issues are mainly in the social domain. I thank you very much for listening to me.
Bless us, O Lord, unto these thy gifts we are going to receive from thy bounty, and keep us mindful of the needs of all the others. Amen. Dinner is ready, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Professor Chikoma. That was the item that attracted the most attention. And if I said, who feels like a winner, I would see all the hands up here. Right or wrong? Right. So let's have the dinner. And it won't take long because we have 4 lines running. The ladies, the service team should be able to take 7 to 8 tables. And in a few minutes, we should be back here. And we put those findings into perspective. Welcome once again, those who were delayed for a reason or the other. We're glad to have you. It's getting warmer. The more the merrier. You all look wonderful. Please enjoy your dinner. Thank you very much indeed. Music, please.